Hey guys, welcome back. And today we have something special because we are finally diving in the Southeast Asia tournament scene because they finally get more tournaments. And today we have with us the Gank Wars winner, MiggyHustler. How are you doing, my guy?
What's up, CastMin? I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to finally get to interview you guys in Southeast Asia because you have so much quality in terms of players. I've been casting you since my early days, and now you get a tournament scene back. So I'm really excited to showcase you. So first and foremost, since you guys do not get showcased that much, can you tell us a bit about yourself, like what you're doing IRL when you are not playing LR? Who are you, Biggie?
All right, sure. So, what's up, guys? My actual name is Miguel, nickname Miggy, and I used to work as a software engineer. I've been doing it for 3 years now, but right now I'm just chilling, unemployed. So that's why I had a lot of more time playing LOR. So I think that might have contributed to the win. And yeah, my hobbies outside of LOR, well, my video games are Valorant and recently the NFT craze like Axie Infinity, Splinterlands, all that other stuff involving crypto. And
Nice.
before the pandemic, I used to play a lot of basketball. Yeah, we in the Philippines, we really love basketball, even though our average height isn't that really really good for the sport. But yeah, we love it. We love the sport.
Nice. I really need to ask you, why do people from Southeast Asia have so many Hispanic names? Like when I hear Miguel or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
So well, yeah, that's the thing about the Philippines. We were colonized by Spain. So we were under Spanish rule for 300 plus years, like 1700s, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, some long time ago, we were colonized by Spain. So yeah, there have been memes that like combine combine an American first name and a Spanish last name, and you get a Filipino. Yeah. So
All right.
yeah,
But
that's the reason why.
but in the games you got to play, what is your background in terms of competitive card games? What did you play before
Oh,
going to
yeah.
LR?
So I used to play Magic the Gathering
Mm-hmm.
pre-pandemic, and I wasn't into the MTGO and MTG Arena, but I was competing in the regional Pro Tour qualifiers almost every single time.
Mm-hmm. And did you achieve anything, any result that you're proud of there?
None that would actually give me pro status, yeah. But yeah, aside from the RPTQ participations, well, my one and only Grand Prix, I made it to day two, so I guess that's kind of a big deal for a non-pro. Yeah, and
Nice.
that sparked the competitive fuel, which I'm getting used to now in LOR.
How did you get by to play LR? How did you start playing the game?
Right. So I've been friends with the Zero Infinity for the longest time. So he also plays Magic the Gathering. And when I saw him play this new game, Legends of Runeterra, I was intrigued because well, there's an endorsement from an MTG player, and number two, well, oh, Riot Games, like it's a brand that I am familiar with. Although I don't play League of Legends, I know a lot of people really like really like the game.
Mm.
So well, hey, why not? I mean, my friends are also playing it. The non-card game players are also trying it out, so why not? And I immediately fell in love. Uh, in the first week, I noticed that um, the cards can be easily be attainable. Like it's it's so friendly to free to play players. So that's what got me hooked into LOR.
And why do you still keep playing it? Like, what keeps you hooked to the game?
Well, for me, the before during the early days, I thought that ooh, LOR is like it's like draft decks from MTG. Like you get these flavors from draft decks, and you get to play them on rank. So that was my first impression. But then as I started getting better at the game, I was like, wait a minute, Runeterra actually has more depth compared to MTG in my opinion, because there's it has this unique interactive feel. Like it actually feels more like chess because you actually take turns, alternate turns with your opponent. Compared to MTG, that your most of your actions were like on a round basis.
Mhm.
So yeah, that kind of complexity, and also having friends to play with. Like around June, the Scream group that is now Blacklist International was formed, and yeah, we were always sharing our little victories, sharing our tournament runs, and yeah, that created a friendship that until now is I think super strong.
Don't
So
forget
that's
about
why I
Adele's positivity channel.
yeah, right.
For those of you guys who do not know, there is actually a blacklist Discord, and there's a positivity channel where where we're publishing memes or something to motivate people. I'm around there as well, and I can say it's a pleasure. If you have the chance, just stop by. It's nice. But back to the tournament itself. Gank words, since it might be strange for people that did not hear about it or are not from Southeast Asia. Can you tell us a bit about the format of the tournament and what did it imply for you to win? Like, what did you need to go through?
All right, sure. So, Gank Wars, we had 15 players,
Hmm.
and it's 4 round Swiss into top four playoffs. So, um, 15. That sounds like very little participation, right? But thing is, like, if you go through the list of participants, a lot of them are either uh people you always see in the front page of the leaderboards, or people you always see in top cuts of seasonals. So for me, that was a big deal. Like going through some big names in Southeast Asia, like Kenshin, Tanya Wannabe, and eventually beating the Scav. Like those three players alone, like in the top four, those three players alone, like I respect them so much. So for me to beat those players and for me to actually go 6-0 in matches, that's a big deal for me. That's saying I am confident that I can beat anyone in Southeast Asia right now.
Nice, I love that boost of confidence. But what was the actual format for the decks? Was it Riot Lock? Was it something else?
All right. So it's the standard Riot Lock with 3 decks and then 1 ban.
Hmm.
And yeah, and what else? Yeah, standard rules.
Alright, now let's dive into the actual decks because the format was pretty simple. You just swim through the bracket.
Hmm.
And first and foremost, still present after nerfs, after we've been seeing it for so long in tournaments, still makes an appearance. Sivir Akshan. Why? Why did you bring it to the tournament?
All right. So truth be told, this lineup, I just yoinked from Deach. Like I saw that Deach won a tournament last week with this exact same lineup. And when I was running out of time, and I'm like, oh no, I don't know what to bring. All right, let's take a look at the champion list. And okay, Okay, I like the decks. I like the decks. I've seen these decks work in Worlds. Although I don't use these decks much, I think I have a pretty good understanding about these decks. So, all right, let's try it out in a tournament.
Mm.
And this particular build, this Action Sivir, before Worlds, I was skeptical because oh my god, there's a lot of nerfs. There's a lot of nerfs to this deck, like Merciless Hunter, Shapestone, and Ruin Runner. Ruin Runner is not even in the list anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw it on stream in Worlds, like the Bruiser, the new 5 drop, when I saw it work in Worlds, I was like, oh wow, this deck still has legs for sure. So yeah, that's why I was pretty okay bringing it to the tournament. And in my actual games, there's so much depth to it actually. Like mm, even on turn one, like choosing Fleet Feather or Treasure Seeker, like I would spend like more than 10 seconds trying to identify like which one rep should I play. Uh, uh so yeah, there's a lot of depth to this deck. I loved playing it over the weekend.
Since you mentioned the controversy on turn one, do you play Fleet Feather Tracker, do you play Treasure Seeker? Can you tell us a bit about your thought process on deciding which one do you play, or what are the specifics of playing one or the other, since you mentioned it?
Hmm. Yeah, right. So well, if I do want pressure on turn one, and my simple heuristic is that if my opponent plays pings, then I'd rather save Fleet Feather for later when I have at least the mana to represent something like Sharp Sight or Shapestone, so
Mm-hmm.
that they can think twice on removing it, or if they do decide to use that pokey stick or make it rain, at least I have the chance to protect it with a pump spell, like especially on my attack token. I think there was a VOD yesterday in one of my games that I actually used a sharp sight in response to a pokey stick, and that allowed me to push 2 more damage. And yeah, what do you think is just a small amount of extra damage can actually be big when it comes to the later turns.
Plus, Fleet Feather Tracker has some sweet challenger tag whenever you're playing a second unit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you might want to save it for when you actually can challenge a unit, make way before your
Right,
big
right.
boys to swing.
Mm-hmm. That's
Di-
correct.
did you actually change the list from the one that Deach played, or is this the same?
It's the same. It's the same. Like I had no changes, but maybe in the next week leading into seasonals, I might have some tweaks now. Now that I have a better idea of what the good players are considering to play.
Mm-hmm. Like, why did you decide on this specific list, or maybe did not change anything, or what attracted you to this list?
I mean, looking at the list, like maybe the one card or 1 or 2 cards that are in consideration are one-offs of Cataclysm or and Riposte.
Mm-hmm.
But um, during the tournament, I think every card served its purpose. So the those one-off changes can uh might not even be worth it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I did see the importance of the Cataclysm, especially in the mirror. It's for me, it's a safer single combat in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when you are using like Akshan or Sivir to remove unit on the other side. I think it's a safer single combat. So yeah, maybe that's the one card that I would actually consider. Yeah, 40th slot, 40th slot. That's yeah, that's the only thing that I would want to change.
You said that you were quite impressed by the current Bruiser when you saw it in Worlds. Did you have the same feeling when you played it in your tournament? Did you get more respect for the card?
Definitely, definitely. Because if I have Severe and Bruiser on the battlefield at the same time, like it sets up more broken combat attack tokens with Severe because of the extra keywords. Like sometimes you don't even need the Absolver anymore since you can already get overwhelmed from the Bruiser.
Hmm. Quiet, nice. For example, why do you think this deck was in the lineup? Like, or what is this deck good against? What is this deck bad against?
Hmm. Like what I observed in my matchup tables was that all three decks was very weak to Sion. So
Mm,
that was the priority ban, and across against everyone else, all three decks that I used were quite flexible. Like no no home runs and no really bad matchups either.
mhm.
So uh, yeah, the lineup was ban Sion and just pilot it well enough to beat everyone else.
Outside of Sign, was there any other scary deck that your opponent played? For example, that might give you trouble, let's say,
Ah,
into Akshan Sivir?
right, right. So action severe. Can't really remember, but I do remember that when I was not facing Scion decks, I was banning Ziggs Poppy decks. So yeah, that might be public enemy number two.
Public enemy number two. I love to hear. But let's move forward to the second deck, Gangplank Sejuani. Why did you like this deck? Because you said you got the lineup from this, but
Mhm.
what was enjoyable for this deck in order for you to actually bring it? But
Mm, right. So in my ladder climb, I've been facing a lot of plunder as well, and uh, the one thing that aside from the turbo like turn 5 level up gangplank, like the nabs you get from the black market merchant and Yordle Grifter are actually so big in this deck because uh there can be cards that your opponent just has no way to play around. The best example I can give is in my finals match against Scav. Like I still had two cards that I stole in the last turn of the game. And that was against darkness, that was Ixtali Sentinel and a Withering Whale.
okay.
And yeah, you could imagine, right? Like full board, and then there's a keg, and then I had Withering Whale in hand. It was so chaotic. Like my opponent was playing optimally, but because they didn't play around Withering Whale, huge blowout. So I love those kind of games wherein like it's not supposed to be a play available to you, but then because you stole something from your opponent, suddenly it's like, what the hell? Like I should have played around that. Stuff like that. Stuff like that. I mean, on my side, when my opponents play plunder against me, like, oh man, they had that out of all the cards they could have stolen, they had that. Those moments, right? So uh, you could imagine if I get tilted over that, the same goes for my opponents when I do it to them.
Makes sense. But fun stuff aside, we really need to discuss about this because since Rising Tides, we have this all these new mechanics. We started with Plunder that generates cards that steals cards from your opponent's deck. Then we got Invokes, and then we got Manifests, and all of this. And it's really surprising. How do you feel about this going forward in the, I don't know, in the future of the game? Do you think this kind of mechanics should still
Mm,
exist? Should they tweak them a bit so the experience is not frustrating, at least for competitive play?
right. Well, for me, um, it's okay. It's okay to have these kinds of mechanics, but the one thing right now that I don't think should be in the game is loping telescope manifesting itself. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the one because it's infinite value. Like with Mayor, it's one cost replace itself. It's so I don't know. For me, it's just that card is too good because even if it doesn't manifest itself, like manifest a random epic. Uh, for example, I did give an example about the nabs, right?
Yes.
At least with nabs, you already know you already have a pool in mind, like a limited number of cards that you can actually play around. But with Loping Telescope and the other manifest cards, like the pool is so large that you can't possibly play around everything. So I guess out of all the mechanics you mentioned with the RNG, I think the one that needs fixing right now is manifest because there's a whole lot of pool. There's a really wide pool of cards to choose from, and yeah, you just can't play around everything.
All right, let's get back a bit to the deck. You mentioned a few interesting nabs into the final, but were there other honorable mentions in terms of nabs that you managed to get throughout the tournament?
Mm, Nabs. Mm, well, not too interesting, but it was funny. It was funny to nab conchologists. It's like, oh, whoa, free value. Like, okay, I stole something to generate another card, and that's it's pretty fun. But
Yeah.
not as bad as the Withering Whale ones, but yeah, the honorable mention.
All right, honorable mentions. So, what did you feel comfortable with this deck going against, and what did you feel uncomfortable going against with this deck?
Right. So let me get my notes from last night. Let me try to see if there was
See,
anything.
guys, people actually take notes. Pen and paper is more important than writing it digitally. Don't freaking use deck trackers. Use pen and paper.
Right.
I
So
go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it's actually true because I recall it better when I write it down.
Mhm.
So anyway, Plunder. So this might be a hot take. I don't know, but I feel like Plunder is favored into darkness. Like during my games, I feel like it's favored against darkness, although a lot of people are not saying the same thing. Like what I usually do is I slam the champions on their attack token when they don't have the mana for Minimorph. That's it. That's it. And from that, I just win the game.
Mhm.
And uh, I did not feel comfortable playing against Ziggs Poppy, although there are draws, like there are very low curve draws that this this deck has. Like for example, maybe a turn one 3/3 Jagged Butcher when Plunder is activated, or like you can draw many Fortune Croakers and stuff like that. Like yeah, those really help. Those really help against the Ziggs Poppy matchup.
You mentioned the
Uh,
Jagged Butcher being activated on one, so I need to ask you because I'm seeing you're playing triple warning shot and double zap split. And did it happen for zap to actually give you one warning shot when you needed maybe something else?
not really, not really, to be honest. Cause um, I mean, Parley Three Sisters and Make It Rain, like uh, in the early turns, at the very least, like warning shot helps you the most, in my opinion. Unless it's against the swarm decks, because uh, you want those damage triggers for your Gangplank and Sejuani early.
Mhm.
So yeah, Raven into warning shot is a play that I would expect, and I would want to get like 9 times out of 10.
Mhm. Alright, did you get some sweet little with Dreadaway and a couple of warning shots? Or if not, did you pressure your opponent with a Dreadaway and a couple of warning shots throughout your tournament run?
Actually, no, no. Yeah, it was kind of sad, but no.
How about Leather?
Only ladder, yes, of course. Like they're down to six. They're down to six, and then I have a keg and a dreadway, two warning shots. So it's over.
Even a more important question, did you get to nab your opponent's Dreadaways?
Oh no, no, that one is still in my bucket list. So maybe I should play more of this plunder in ladder so that I can actually get that sweet nab.
Alright, but let's go to the final deck that you have brought, and you mentioned Yordle Burn. You brought Yordle Burn yourself because it was into the lineup. So why do you think it is so good to complement this lineup?
Right. So yeah, going back, ban Sion and be good against everything else. Like Ziggs Poppy in particular, like looking at the matchup table from various sources on Twitter, like Dr. LOR, Balco, and sorry, I'm blanking on the other guy, but
Legna?
there's- yeah, yeah, that guy. Like he actually had the most comprehensive matchup table, if I recall correctly.
Alright,
So
Legna,
yeah,
if you are watching this, Miggy appreciates your matchup tables.
yeah. Shout out to all the data scientists for LOR. Like, you guys are the real MVP. Anyway, yeah, Yordle Burn has great matchups. Like I would say, Yordle Burn even has better matchup spread compared to Draven Sion. And that's why I was comfortable bringing this to the tournament. Plus, it's Burn. I mean, if if I don't have the if I'm not in the mood, if I'm not in the mood to play slugfests, like I'm very happy. I'm very happy to play Burn.
Mm.
Like in the tournament, whenever my opponents do not ban Ziggs Puppy, yes, I have a breather game. Like, yes, I have a game in the tournament that would only last 5 minutes. That's a big win.
Well, it might be important because it's really draining. Even though you only had to play an amount of maximum 6 rounds, it's really draining game
Yes,
after game to have to think about plays through because then you win the game, you need to play a new one, you need a mental reset, but that cannot go forever. You are going to need a break, and sometimes burn is all you need for a break.
yes, exactly. And yeah, I want to talk about the four drops here. So I yoinked all the lists from Deach, right? But
Mhm.
looking going forward, I think I would like a 2-2 split instead of lecturing Yordle and Tenor of Terror, because their situations are I think there's a merit to having both of them in a wider matchup table. Like, sure, Tenor of Terror works. I think Tenor of Terror synergizes better with the whole deck, but sometimes it can break. sometimes Tenor of Terror can brick, like you don't activate its so you haven't used Pokey Stick to remove a unit from the opponent, or you haven't played Concologist or Vandal City Mayor to get that created card.
Mhm.
So yeah, it can brick. So that's why I would want the second copy of Lecturing Yordle over the third copy of Tenor of Terror.
So do you want to get this new split just to feel more safe and give more consistency to the deck in some way?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright.
Plus, Lecturing Yordle is a really nice beat stick, like similar to Ziggs, like 3/5 for 4 mana. That's a pretty good deal. Plus, you get at least one maximum two, I guess, buff caps. If you get more than that, you win the poison darts. If you get more than two, you win the game.
You win the game. Did you consider any other cards to be cut in order to include another lecturing Yordle just so we keep the 4 mana package with Tenor of Terror intact?
I mean, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna touch any of the other three offs
Mm-hmm.
in the deck. Like, I think they're perfect for what they want to do in the deck.
Alright, you said this deck has a nice matchup spread, but was there any deck that you felt uncomfortable going against, or you wouldn't have felt going comfortable going against if that was present there?
Right. Again, I'm looking at the matchup tables, and I would say no, no, not at all. Like, I kept on banning Sion, so I guess if we can say 50-50 matchups are uncomfortable, then sure, there are some. Like, let me see.
Just draw better forehead.
Yeah, just draw better. Exactly. I mean, the 50-50 matchup I can think of is the other Bandle City Burn, the TFGP one.
Mhm,
I think that's a 50-50. But other than that, I'm not thinking of anything that's actually uncomfortable. Maybe Darkness when they draw all of their life gain.
mhm,
But uh, other than that, no. I think Ziggs Puppy has the right tools to beat anything that's not Draven Zion.
mhm. You mentioned Bender City GBT of the so-called Pink City. Did you get to play Ziggs Poppy into that deck?
Did I?
Did you?
No, because they banned Ziggs Puppy when they had the Vandal City Burn
Mhm.
or Pink City. Sorry, Pink City.
Well, did you get to play against it maybe on ladder and can give people some insight? Because I wrote a guide about this and it's really tricky for someone that is going in a burn versus burn matchup to win that matchup. It is a little bit of a
Hmm.
struggle. So, what would be your insight towards winning that matchup?
Uh, that's kind of tough, but well, I think you should be the aggressor because you have more reach. You have more reach, and you lose to their top end of Gangplank and Double Up, right? So you should definitely be on the driver's seat always. Because if you fall behind and their HP is not below 10, then you're probably gonna lose. And maybe, well, I mentioned double up, but maybe save your Noxian Fervor for that. The double up, that's gonna be a big thing. If you deny them the 4 damage, that's huge.
I think this is a thing generally going with this deck, knowing when to use your Noxian Forward. For example, in my guide I told people, alright, if you are playing against Freljord, Shadow Isles Control, or maybe against Darkness, maybe you want to keep your Fervor for their Grasp, maybe for something else, so you deny healing and deal damage. Against Pink City, you want to keep it against Double Up. Like, don't be happy
Yeah,
because you are denying a Vile Fist value. Think
yeah,
further
yeah,
ahead.
definitely. Definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
Especially, yeah, you mentioned darkness. Like people still play the piercing. What's that?
Piercing
Piercing.
darkness.
Yeah, yeah, that one. The Drain 5. Like when they have Senna, like always be wary of that card.
Mm.
If you have Noxian Fervor and you're playing Darkness, you're playing against Darkness, against Senna, don't even think about playing Lecturing Yordle.
Don't play lecture Yordle. That is a nice advice. But going back to the whole lineup, because we had Sivir Akshan, you had Yordle Burn and Tempo Plunder. So what do you think this lineup was made to target? What did you want to face with this target, with this lineup specifically?
Okay, so I remember being very happy when I see Darkness. Yeah. I remember being very happy, like, oh, my opponent has Darkness. Like, okay, I think I win this. I win this matchup. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And what else? In the finals, my opponent did use Esbai, the Shellfolk deck, and that in particular, all three decks are really, really good against Shellfolk. Like, uh, sorry, what was the name of the data scientist again?
Legna?
Oh, yeah, Legna. According to his matchup table, like, against Shellfolk, Ziggs Poppy is 61% favored, Akshan Sivir 65%, and Plunder 72%. So I think that
Oh,
is the single that's that you really really want to see. But I don't think it's gonna be too popular. But again, if you see it and you're using this lineup, like okay, free win.
you saw it in the final and it gave you the win after all, but you got this lineup from summer, but what was the meta prediction that you had for this specific tournament? Like, what did you expect people to bring to the tournament?
I did expect to see either Draven Sion or Ziggs Poppy, because I remember there were discussions that maybe tier zero is actually aggro, like Draven Sion,
Yes.
Ziggs Poppy, and some other aggro deck. Maybe TFGP. TFGP is your third deck, maybe. Yeah. Or Zonami. Zonami can also be your third deck. So yeah, tier zero can definitely be can definitely have a very aggressive flavor in this meta game. So yeah, um, my the decks that I used, except maybe Action Severe, are uh, I think well positioned against aggro in general. Like Action Severe, you just you just want to hope to draw into your low curve. But Plunder, and Ziggs Poppy in particular, I think are very, very strong decks against an aggressive meta. So, uh, looking forward, I'm definitely thinking about keeping those two. And Action Severe, thinking a bit, maybe get some more games in because, like I said earlier, like I think, well, I didn't say this earlier, but uh, with the in the lineup, I think Action Severe is the most complicated. Like it has the most complex plays
Mhm.
compare yeah, in the lineup. So maybe in a 9 round tournament, maybe I don't want that because it's gonna tax my mental so hard after maybe losing a close game, like uh maybe even winning, as long as it's close. Yeah, it gets taxing.
Mhm. But for this tournament, because I know you are from with the guys from the Blacklist, love absolutely all of you guys being friends for you for so long now. Who helped you prepare for the tournament? Who did you scream with? Who helped
Right.
you maybe think about the lineups?
So yeah, every day we there's open invites in our Discord. Well, in the Blacklist channel, every day there's open invites. for scrims. Like, well, shout out to our captain Adele. He's the one initiating most
Hey
of the
Adele.
time, but yeah, uh, yeah, other like everyone plays a part really
Mhm.
in the blacklist team, and so you get to play with anyone, and so not just Adele. So I got to play a good amount of games with a good diversity of lineups. So that I think that helped me a bit in going over general plays against the wide open field.
Mhm. Was there anyone in particular that you screamed against more than anyone else?
Well, Adele, of course.
Outside of
I mean,
Adele, stop
yeah.
praising Adele. He's gonna get his head too high.
Uh, no one in particular that I've scrimmed a lot with, but
Mhm.
we do have some match reviews as well in our Discord, as well as live ladder sessions. So yeah, maybe I'll give a shout out to Ide Tiker. So this guy was streaming his ladder games in our Discord. So I learned a thing or two from him playing Poppy decks.
Mhm. All right, but now we're kind of near the end of the interview, and we have this one last question that we're asking everyone, and that is, if you had to say only one thing to the audience, which one would that be?
One thing to the audience: get ready for C. Get ready for C. 'Cause, you haven't seen C at its 100% power. I mean, can I expound? Can I expound?
All right. You can be some kind of a John Cena. You can see me.
You can't see me. All
All
right.
right. All right. Thank you, Miggy, for being around, for explaining us your lineup, your thought process, and giving us a little bit of insight. Maybe it's going to be helpful for players overseas. Maybe it's going to be helpful for the people that are just entering tournaments because seasonal is around the corner. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, maybe hit the bell if you want to see all of these interviews. And outside of that, see you next time.